that's working. Yeah, that's working.
Fantastic. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
Yesterday was not. Anyway,
Yeah, but how about I share a little secret with you here?
sure.
Only for the live audience, by the way. But that the secret here is
And
that
your guest.
yeah, oh yeah, but no secret around here though. Um,
No, no.
no, that just here for the live audience and us that um, I actually checked out all the stream keys and everything this morning and made sure it was set to auto. Make sure auto start and auto stop was disabled. So
Okay, great.
yeah,
And I double checked the one that I created for next week, and it's good. So,
no problem. Sounds good.
all right, we will. Oh, I'll just wait for you to get to. There we
There you
go.
go. I think I'm in the right board. Let me just double check. Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
there you go. All right, Zoom recording in 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Recording in progress.
Okay, now I'm going to play the intro.
Live from the Musa Slobodian Network studio, welcome to the Ali and Makara Show, part of the Musa Slobodian Network. The show where the hosts discuss technology, their favorite songs, the books they've been reading throughout the week, along with some friendly banter along the way. Here are your hosts, Ali Musa and Makara Slobodian.
Good afternoon, everyone, on Monday, April 13th, 2026. Back with another bonus show. I am here once again with my co-host, Ali Musa.
Hey, thanks for having me this afternoon.
Of course, always a pleasure to get on here an extra time in the week if we can. And today we are joined by Richard Marion. Hi, Richard. Thanks so much for being here.
Hi, good afternoon. Pleasure to be here.
It's always a pleasure here. So
Yeah.
I want to start out with now, just off air here. We were just talking about the voiceover slash Mac experience. So in general, how do you feel that if we compare it, say, to the JAWS experience on Windows, how do you feel that the Mac is sort of? How do you feel that voiceover on the Mac is sort of doing? It does. Do you feel that the odd navigation of Control Option Shift left and right arrow should sort of be changed? Do you feel they should change it?
I Yeah, I do. It in the sense that it's there's so many incidences, especially in custom environments where that control option, sort of right and left arrow or right and left arrow, because you can change the control option to caps lock as well too. Um, so the VO key left and right is in some environments, like if you're dealing with some custom online app doesn't work, and you end up reverting to sort of more standard Windows commands of just using the up and down arrow keys or tab or like an enter, like it. Um, it does create a level of confusion, especially for those that are transitioning from Windows to Mac, because I know when I first picked up a Mac uh, 12, 13 years ago, it was pretty cut and dry. Everything was VO left arrow, VO right arrow. You had to interact with a number of elements on web pages manually. So you did VO shift down arrow to interact and things like that. Whereas nowadays, interacting is more automatic, like it is with JAWS or NVDA, like from between forms mode and focus mode and NVDA as well. So yeah, I think it's sorry, long-winded answers. The short version of my long-winded answer is
No, I
yeah, I
like the
think
long-winded answer.
yeah, and I think it's time to sort of bring back a little bit of level of consistency, and I think maybe getting rid of the VO with the left and right, okay, especially in web environments. I could see it maybe still being useful, say if you're using Pages or sort of Mac specific applications, but um, and maybe or other apps, but definitely on the web environment, I think it'd be a lot easier for people to understand, because, like, if you turn the quick key commander on, um, there are some certain instances on websites where your right up and down, left and right arrow keys will do things on their own. as well too. So that it's a case that yeah, they just need to go that extra step and get rid of it completely, especially in the HTML environments.
Now, do you feel like some people have suggested that Apple should just kind of completely start it, like just just get rid of this version of it, of VoiceOver and on the Mac, and just start again with it. Is that necessary?
I don't know if that's necessary, like, because the good thing about VoiceOver on the Mac and versus VoiceOver on iOS and iPad OS is um, and that's how I learned it, is the fact that you can turn the trackpad commander on and get a very iOS, iPad OS like experience, like as far as using gestures to control your speech, even swiping through controls and text on websites and stuff like that. So, like for anyone that's already got an iPhone or an iPad, if you're wanting to make the jump over to Mac, it like for me, um, it made the transition a lot smoother when I realized that there was such a thing as the trackpad commander, which basically turns the trackpad into something that operates like VoiceOver does on the touchscreen.
And that's another side of it. Like if somebody's used to the iPhone, that experience picking up a Mac is vastly, like it's going to feel like a foreign thing to them.
Totally. Especially if you're going to ultimately decide, okay, I want to learn all the keyboard commands, because like if they're picking up their Mac and they're transitioning from Windows, well, how often are you going to use the insert key for a screen reader specific function? How often are you going to hit the Alt key to bring up your menu bar? Things like that. Like whereas like in the Mac world, it's VOM to bring up your menu bars and things like that, and VOMM to bring up your other control. Like it's a yeah. So things like that. Like people have to kind of wrap their heads around the fact that you need to sort of get rid of all your Windows commands as much as possible in your mind, and realize that there's no such thing like the control key on the Mac is the command key, and there's not really an Alt key anymore on the Mac.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what I sometimes find myself doing? A lot of the times, or some of the time, is when I'm on Windows or Mac, I find myself hitting the wrong keystrokes sometimes, and finding why doesn't it work?
I do too, and and funny you mentioned that, because so this just literally like 2 3 days ago, I was working on a project, and that kind of this kind of ties into our earlier discussion about Excel, and I thought, okay, I'll just do it on my Mac, and then it was a really complicated spreadsheet. I thought, okay, well, I've got a Windows machine with NVDA here. I'll just do it on Windows, and then I had to really think hard not to hit the VO key on like which is the same key, basically the two keys that are side by side on my Windows keyboard, to do with the right and left arrow key as I was navigating up and down the spreadsheet and things like that. Like it really, you kind of so if I don't like so if you've used one computer for a long period of time, going back to the other one, your mind is gonna play tricks on you. Then you are going to wonder, okay, why didn't something work? Well, of course, yeah, there is no there's on the Mac, if I hit Control Home to go to the top of the document, that doesn't do anything on the Mac. You've got to use another key sequence.
Yeah, like my example is I hit Control. I was on the Mac. I was trying to copy something in Finder, and then I hit Control C. I'm like, what the heck's going on? Why isn't it doing it? And then I'm like, oh, okay, I have to hit Command C.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, Makara, what are your thoughts here? I know from past conversations um, that you prefer to use your phone more than the Mac. Now, other than the fact that you have an older Mac, what is the reason for that? Like, is it just maybe being in front of a keyboard, or what would you say the reason is for that?
Well, mine's so much being in front of a keyboard. I always, I started out doing some of that tech training and things too, so the keyboard commands aren't totally foreign, but I think it's just the convenience of it depends on what I'm doing. And because so much of it has scaled down from I'm not using word processors as much. I still am, but not as much. And that was a lot of the big stuff I was using it for, or my reasons for web navigation have changed. It's not so much in-depth researching and having to look around for things that it's not conducive to that anymore.
That is honestly a very interesting sort of point. Now, tying sort of into this, like personally, if it's me, I actually the interesting thing is, and Richard, I mean, feel free to sort of chime in on this. That for me, I cannot do that. Like, I have to have a computer in front of me. I don't know, for some reason, I have an iPhone and I do use it, but I feel like for me, because I kind of come from that computer environment, from the window, the voiceover and JAWS environments over the years, that's what I seem to go back to for most of. Even if I have to look something up, I'll always use the computer.
See, now I'm getting like McCara. Like I use my phone more than I actually use my computer now. Partly because, especially when I'm at home, because I associate the computer. I think it's way too many years of sitting in front of your computer in an office environment doing accounting, accounting and the communications work. So I associate the computer more with work, and a bit of entertainment. But when I first got a phone and started to realize the power of the phone for entertainment and doing and sort of casual web browsing and things like that. I use the phone like I'd say at home 70% of the time. I'll use my computer if I have to when I'm doing work or email, or if I'm doing, I will still use my computer if I have to do a lot of web research. When I'm doing a lot of web research that maybe just involves typical sort of Google searches, or actually reading websites and whatever, or if I have to do a lot of financial management stuff, then I'll use my computer. But the phone, I do all my shopping on my phone. Like I said, it's entertainment, some little tiny bit of gaming but basically my main gaming experience is probably the same thing as half the blind people in the world, which is Dice World. But like the and then also even my interactions with AI. Mainly, if I'm doing asking AI questions, I'll do it on my phone. Um, I just got a new phone that has the Apple Intelligence. I was going to say something derogatory about Apple Intelligence, but I'll reserve that for another time. Um, um, but prior to that was ChatGPT and Gemini. So like I often just use my phone because it's because I can hold it in my hand, and I don't have to sit at my desk or have the computer or laptop on my sitting on my lap on a couch or something. I can just hold the phone and deal with that. And then but if I need want to, it's really funny because if I want to use my braille display and things like that, well, that's all. Even though I can my braille display is Bluetooth, I could tether it to my phone. It's with my computer. So yeah, for me, the computer is definitely more work than entertainment.
Yeah, no, interesting. Yeah, interesting too, because now you just meant now Braille. What do you think of Braille? How about Braille support on the Mac? What are your thoughts there? I don't know if I don't know what I think of it personally.
So my main experience with Braille support is on the Mac because when a few years ago got a Braille display, I primarily use the Mac, and lately in a lot of work environments, it's even been the Mac. So I've used it on the Mac, mostly on the Mac. I haven't done it as much with Windows, so I really can't comment on
No, so tell us about the Mac. Then tell me
yeah.
about your Mac experience.
So the Mac it's easy. It was easy to connect. Like I've got a Mantis 40, Q40.
I have
And
a BI40X, a Braille BI40X here.
yeah, so it was easy to set it
Similar
up with the Mac.
concept.
yeah, it was easy to set up with the Mac because the Mac already supported the HIM interface, and so the it 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 for what I do use it for, which is basically editing documents and reading mail, and if I'm doing presentations at meetings, having access to my presentation notes and agendas, it's worked out perfect because then I can either read the documents live from my computer or download it to my Braille display. Now you can't and I don't know if you can on Windows. You can't really download documents to the Braille display. I end up using if I have to download a document from my computer to the Braille display, I end up just using the SD card and saving it to an SD card and putting the SD card on my Braille display and doing it that way. But that's uh, um, for the amount of time or sometimes that's usually how I do it. But I haven't really figured that part out how to send documents to my Braille display without the SD card intermediary. Um, so I've had no issues with the Braille support in that sense, and it's pretty reliable. Like it doesn't it doesn't like not work more often than not. Like it usually works. The only thing I don't like about it is, and I don't know if and it might be an issue on Windows. Like if all of a sudden you're reading something and you get a computer alert, of course the Braille display focuses on that alert, and sometimes it may not put you back where you are in the document, kind of like VoiceOver does sometimes. So it does really follow what VoiceOver does in that sense as well.
So when it does that, what is the workaround? How do you fix that?
I usually just have to go onto my computer and kind of go back to where I thought I was, and maybe in a document, and just resume from there again. And or sometimes if I know I don't want to that kind of interruptions is as I will just put my computer on do not disturb so I don't get other pop-ups and things like that.
So then, how do you then, if you're primarily on the Braille display, what do you do then for? Of course, we both have different models here. I mean, similar concept, but we have
Yeah,
different models. But
yeah.
would you do then a command tab on
Um,
the Braille display?
so Command Tab on so the Mantis Q40 has a QWERTY keyboard. So
Right.
so it so the command tab the command key is the Alt key on the Mantis. So the Command Tab is Command Tab. It does the same thing.
Okay. Yep. Perfect. So
And then there is a chord command for Command Tab, and it is escaping me what that is as well too. So for if you're using a standard
yeah,
Braille
mine's a
display with a
Perkins.
yeah, so there is a chord command for Command Tab, and I don't know, I can't remember what it is. So
I'll have to look it up. I'll have to. Um, yeah, but see, and that's
and
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 see,
and the other thing too is
yeah,
what you might find is that the chord command for Alt Tab might do the Command Tab Mac Command Tab version, depending if you've tethered it to your Mac, because it's
I have.
yeah, because Command Tab is the Mac equivalent to Alt Tab. So
Yeah, and also what I've done as well is I also have now on Windows when I use it with JAWS, I actually use it on USB actually.
yeah, and you can do that with Mac too. Like I can plug it into a USB and use it with just USB, but I Bluetoothed it. So I think if I do it on USB, I have to read up. I think then I can send documents directly to my Braille display.
Right. Okay. Right. Because see, yeah, and actually, the BI40X is actually not supported on the Mac in USB in USB at this point.
Yeah, and I think the Q40 is supported on USB on the Mac. I've just never done it because it was when I got my Braille display. I thought, well, I thought, well, I'll just turn Bluetooth on because I originally intended on working with it with both my phone and computer. But like I said, I ended up just leaving it just with my computer because um, I was away from my desk and home office often enough with just my phone that I didn't want to be carrying around it because it is a bulky Braille display. It's not like something portable you can carry around with you. You can, but it's not like you
Yeah.
can't. Like I don't very do it that often unless I am like when I've done presentations at city hall advisory committee I'm on, then I will bring my braille display, because then I can just set it up on a table in front of me and read my notes while I'm doing my presentation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would be one way to do it too. But I mean, and see, like now the other side of it, because see, what I often right now end up doing, because I also have and now the keyboard here, I have a full size keyboard. I actually have the Matthias wireless keyboard here,
Yeah.
which is a full size keyboard. Now I can't work without that keyboard, and
Yeah.
and I even use it with my phone as well. So sometimes what I'll do is if I've got the braille display kind of there as well, I'll end up using both. I'll have the keyboard connected there and the braille display to the phone, and right.
Funny you mention that, because that's what I do with my computer, because I prefer my full size wireless keyboard to the keyboard on the braille display, because the keyboard on the braille display is more like a laptop keyboard.
Yeah, I have a laptop here. I don't like it. I mean, the Mac, I have a Mac Mini.
Anyone that's listening that has a braille display with a QWERTY keyboard, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's more like the laptop experience. So I've on my desk right now, I've got my full size keyboard in front of me. I've got my braille display just to my right, so it's still close enough to read, and so I control my braille keyboard with my full size keyboard as well too. So unless I need a braille display something specific to the braille display, then of course you got to do that on the braille display. But as far as the computer interface goes, I do it all from my regular keyboard. Because usually when I've got my braille display in terminal mode on the computer, I'm only using it really to read what the output from the computer and my input.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what I do too. But see, my thing also has been is that my thing was to always kind of practice typing on the Perkins here, because just in the event if I needed it.
Yeah, and the Q40 does have a Perkins keyboard mode, so I could put it in that mode to type on it as like a Perkins keyboard. But I've still got one of the old dinosaurs sitting in the corner of my office as well too. So sometimes I'll roll a piece of paper into the thing and just type, and I'll practice with it, just so I don't forget how to type. Because as it is, and once in a while I go, okay, what's the contraction for that? Like,
yeah, I got rid of that, by the way, that clunker I call it.
Yeah, I never did, because it's the only because when your technology fails, the Perkins barrel is always around.
No, I get that. Yeah. I get that. I do. Well, Makara?
That is a good point. That is a solid thing to still have that around, and just to make sure you still have your notes and things.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But and I agree with that though. But I got rid of it because you know why? I just want to make sure. Am I still here?
You're still here.
Yeah.
Okay. See, because the piece is because the reason I got rid of it was because, see, once things became digital, and I was able to like with things like the Google products and things like that, and of course Apple Notes and things like that, where you can also like lock things, and you can also maybe and whatever. That was a game changer for me, because then it gave me an idea. Okay, now I can put stuff in there and then sort of work with that.
True. And you're right. Like, as I don't I say I keep it because it's I've had it forever. But as you say that, you're right, because as I use Apple Notes and to Apple, like the reminders and things for everything, for the stuff that I probably would have made a note on a Perkins and stuck it to the fridge or something like that, or brailled on an actual calendar or something, like things like that, so yeah, you're right. Like, I tend to use digital forms of that, and especially if I'm sharing lists and ththings with my spouse, well, of course, it's easy to put it on Google Keep or the Apple equivalent as well too. And then because then we both can see it. And if I want to read it in Braille, I've got access to with my electronic display, with my Braille display.
Yep, yeah. Because see, there was a time that, see, if you look at it, there was a time sighted people would, and some people still do this, and I don't know why, but they do. They have a paper calendar on the fridge, and then they'll make notes on that calendar as to what they have on a particular day.
I think it's force of habit and what they're comfortable with. Like, cause like it's kind of like people that will say, like my spouse, he prefers kind of get into the other part of your weekly chats. Even though I'm not going to tell you what I don't know, kind of say what books I'm reading this week because I'm not reading anything this week. But he prefers to read and to hold a printed book in his hands versus reading it on an ebook reader or on his phone or tablet. It's just, he said, there's just something about the holding the physical book. And I'm assuming that's the same thing with people that still prefer to have a real paper calendar on the fridge in their kitchen or in their office where they can still write things on it.
Sure. And I get that. Like, I mean, I understand that. Like, see,
it might
for
be an
me,
older person's thing too, as well.
Pardon me?
It might be an older person's thing. Like if you probably had this conversation, like if you like maybe younger people don't do it as much, but I think people that are older in this transition from paper to digital still want to hold on to as much paper as they can in that sense.
Yeah, no, that's it too. You see, for me, I'd rather just put it onto Google Calendar. I'd go in there either on the web or in the app and just put it on there.
And that's what I do. Like, and actually, the one thing that I do is because when Apple allowed you to add all your other calendars like Google and other calendars to the calendar app on the phone, I post things through the Apple Calendar app on the phone and just add it to to Google Calendar if I need it on our shared calendar and things like that through that way, because I actually don't like the Google Calendar app that much and prefer the iCal app instead.
Yeah, see, I'm kind of the opposite because here, and I'll tell you why. Because, and McCary, you and I have had conversations about this before as well.
Oh, plenty of times, sure.
But the notifications, when you're doing it that way, on like using the Apple Calendar versus the Google Calendar app natively, the notifications for the Apple Calendar when using the Google Calendar piece in the Apple Calendar app is not reliable. So meaning it will come with a delay.
Yeah, I don't know. I've had no issues with it. Like for this meeting, I added it to my calendar through the iCalendar app, but it saved it to my Google, because the default calendar that I have, that I use, because it was my consulting email address, Google Calendar. I put it on there, and I got the alert when I expected it, the half hour alert prior to the meeting so for my 1:30 start, I had a 1 o'clock alert as well too. So
yeah. And of course you would have got, and of course you got the email.
I got all your other all the other emails as well too. Like that, your thing sends emails every 15 minutes, starting at whatever time it was before the meeting.
Yeah, and of course you got the appointment email too.
Yeah, I got I said the appointment emails I got, but I got the reminders and things that way, which is great. Like, but I proceeded with the option to add it directly to my calendar as well too. So I got the actual calendar alert from iCal, and now granted, I don't know, it may not have been from iCal, it could have been from Google Calendar, because I didn't see where it came from, because it was stored on one of my Google calendars. So
now, do you have the Google Calendar native app as well installed?
I do.
Yeah. See, that would be it. Yeah. Now, that's it as well. Like, see, I mean, see, now the one thing also is I don't like the mail app Apple's Mail app. I don't like it because now that for sure is there's a delay, significant delay from when you unless you actually force it to check.
Yeah, and see, I force mine to check except for anything that I designate as VIP. So that it's because of that, and it's just now force of habit. So I'll use the Apple native Mail or Outlook on my phone, depending what it is. Like my any work accounts I would put on Outlook, but yeah, because it was more reliable.
Yeah. So, but when you get the Gmail app notification, that's kind of when you check it.
Yeah, sometimes, but I don't have the Gmail app on my iPhone. I do have I know I've got the Gmail app on an Android device that I have from when I've done work for the Google Trusted Tester program. But yeah, that's only my only experience with Android.
Now, do you have the YouTube app?
Yeah, I've got on my phone and my tablet.
The YouTube. Okay, yeah. So then you're good for two. Yeah, Then you're good for two-factor authentication. Then.
Yeah, I'm good for 2FA, and the 2FA would actually on the Google side works not just with YouTube, but it also works with the actual if you've got the actual Google app on your phone, it'll look for that as well too.
Now, the Google app, is that separate from the Gmail app?
Yes. So there's the Gmail app, like for Gmail, and then there actually was the old Google Search app, which is still there and it still works. But I think they're going to they'll do a full replacement of it with Gemini at some point.
So what is the Google app? Does that have like all of its services in one? Like what is that?
No, it was basically one of their apps that they made available for iPhone. So like it's basically the Google search, the iPhone version of the Google search bar. Like if you would open it and ask it, say search for Braille displays, for example. And then it would bring back all the results. And then if you click the link on it, it actually would open the link within the app, but it basically was the Google search version of Chrome, the Chrome web browser. And if it was a detailed search result, it may ask you if you want to open it within Chrome or Safari or your default browser on your phone.
Right, yeah. See, that's interesting. Now, the other difference, though, now, when it comes to the calendars, the Apple Calendar, this is another thing I kind of don't like about it, is that the Apple Calendar, it only allows me to have 2 alerts. I don't like that. Whereas the Google Calendar, I can have a 1 hour, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 day and 1 week before.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, I never thought of that because I don't mind. I usually only I've been okay with the 2 alerts, like because I do a 1 day and a half hour alert usually if I set the second alert. Sometimes I won't even bother setting the second alert. I'll just leave it for the half hour alert or whatever because I'm kind of a little I'm a little like a little obsessive compulsive. I always check my calendar every day to make sure that in the morning when I'm getting ready to do any work, just to make sure I've got nothing, to make sure I kind of remember all my appointments and things that day. So anyhow, so
yeah. Now the other thing too is that there are also Google Calendar specific, like when you do it from the Apple Calendar, there are also like Google Calendar specific features as well that one misses when they do it that way through the Apple Calendar.
Yeah, I guess so because like I know there's the feature like and it's really funny when it comes up like I'll get notifications and I know it's because of Google Calendar like if I'm booked something in my calendar that's in a different location reminding me when I have to leave to get to that thing on time it's based on my method of transportation in Google Maps, which is public transit. So it's really, that's kind of stuff is kind of interesting because like all of a sudden I'll get this alert saying your doctor's appointment is in in 1 hour. Leave now to get there on time for your appointment. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And the other thing too is the also too when it's used on the web, there are also more features available than in the Google Calendar app itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I primarily do that. Like I even use Gmail, and I also use Google Drive and Docs as well, because my word processing needs are very simple.
Yeah.
So I do all that. I do all that on the web. I'll do all that on the web version. And if I'm on my phone, I'll browse in the Gmail app.
Yeah, yeah, I see that. Yeah, it's funny because when I kind of developed a liking for app-based calendars, it was more in a time when especially in the Google Calendar, were not that accessible using any screen reader, whether it was JAWS or VoiceOver or NVDA, and so that was when I developed more of a liking for app-based calendars, and haven't really given web calendars a fair chance ever since then. Every once in a while, I'll look at my web-based Google Calendar, but I think it's a bit for me now. There's a bit of a learning curve to sort of get used to it, even though it does work better with all the screen readers.
Oh, it kind of works like there's almost nothing that doesn't work in it now.
Yeah.
Well, Makara, have you tried it on the web?
The Google Calendar? Yeah,
Yes.
I do use it on the web on the Mac specifically, and I have once or twice if I had to set something up on the phone because
Yeah.
not because it doesn't allow you to do quite everything in the app. Like I don't think you can necessarily share calendars in the app.
No. Yeah,
Which is-
like with somebody, like sharing with somebody else.
Yeah, because that was a thing you and I were setting up
That's
at
right.
one time.
Between accounts. Yep, that's right.
Yes,
Yep.
between accounts. That is the
Oh yeah, that's right too. I had to when we were when I was creating our family calendar. I think I had to do it on the website to actually enable the sharing of it. That's right. You're right.
That's
yeah,
right.
and to fiddle with those settings, I think.
Yeah. There's more settings available on the website. Like
Yep.
you can kind of at least tell the calendar, I think, on the app that it's a shared, but you can't invite people to it unless you're on the website.
hmm
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the last time I tried it on the website, I thought, oh, I'll just do it on my phone, and opened up Chrome and did it that way.
Yeah, and kind of to that end, given that you do tend to use your phone more as well, I'm curious if you reach more for applications or for websites, or does it depend on the specific product or thing that you're trying to use?
I think it depends on the product I'm trying to use. So like if I'm doing things on the phone, for example, if I'm doing banking, the app I on the phone, I'll use the app because
Oh yeah. Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
because I think
same.
the apps are probably in the end more secure than their websites as well too. But that just maybe
And
that's
also you get to bypass
fallacy.
the ads.
Maybe I should assume that. But yeah, it's just a bit a nice. At least I know what to expect. And um, I'll use obviously if I'm on the computer, I'll obviously use the websites over apps more,
hmm
of course. But and then I'll use apps depending on like I find, for example, like some of the shopping apps, so like specifically one that starts with A, I prefer their app over their website. Even just because it's I know where to look for stuff even when they push out an update where some of the buttons are unlabeled and things like that. But I kind of have a better idea where to look for stuff there on it. Um, Other times I think yeah, like if the app's not accessible, then I'll go back. Then I'll check the website to see if I have better luck with it. There's been some circumstances where the websites worked better. I've done travel booking, app-based travel bookings, but then again, the websites are better as far as getting diving deeper into the customizing sort of your preferences as far as flights go, or hotel bookings as well too. So it really depends, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so, and I think you're right. I feel like you're right about that in that sort of. And I now see um the like I mean it's always like it's always interesting to sort of get like the perspective of now of these sort of things. Now you mentioned AI back there, about like using you'll ask like about using Gemini, things like that. What are your thoughts on like how do you feel um about like how do we ensure that, or even companies too, how can we all ensure that we use AI responsibly?
Yeah, I think it's getting to the point where like we're gonna have to probably start uh, teaching people how to use it responsibly, kind of like what we do like what we would do with other things like drinking responsibly. Like I don't want to associate AI with drinking, like with drugs, drug education and alcohol education, but it might be getting to that point, like where is showing people how to use it responsibly. Don't in like because especially people that are new to it or older people you do just basically the exercising personal caution and precautions, like don't feed it too much personal information that it doesn't already know about you, because it knows everything, it retains everything, like um, like for example, Gemini, I said something about my spouse being male, and it's retained that information ever since. Even I asked it a totally different question related to travel plans later this summer, and first thing it said is, well, you and your husband may prefer this, and like so like it, so that's the thing. So now so people have to kind of realize, okay, it is artificial intelligence. It's going to retain everything you tell it. So if you inadvertently, so people have to kind of like with safe web browsing and safe social media use, like learn how to use AI safely, especially for young people that are pre-teens. Like parents should be having discussions with their teenagers about treating AI kind of like they do. Like treating AI like they would do with any other responsible uses of social media, like almost like, and for little kids, almost treat it like stranger danger. Like don't tell AI anything that you wouldn't tell a stranger, as well too. And so if you're young, and young as well too, because because you don't want that information maybe getting out into the hands of the wrong people as well. The other thing is is we as we learned from the Tumble Ridge incident, is making sure that AI is used, like that people are know that they shouldn't be using AI to design things to promote violence as well too.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
See, I think there's a difference though. Sorry, McCary, did you have something to chime in before I sort of continue with that thought?
Yeah, yeah. The other thing, as far as people that are blind, like we're like the other thing that we're using AI for is learning our environment and finding out what's going on around us as well too. And so now there's a couple new apps that people are using that they can link to their Meta glasses. Like there's the Orion, and then the Scribe Me has a Meta beta going right now. Like I think even though they both say this don't rely solely on this to get what's going to is I think we as humans have to keep stressing that to people that are using that. Like you can't totally rely on the AI to give you an accurate sort of representation of what it's actually seeing as you're walking down the street. Like you still need your other mobility devices as well too, because that's the other thing that's responsible using AI as well too. And then also making sure that you're not in a sort of in a place like maybe you wouldn't want to use it in your like in a part of your house that you don't want people to see anyway. So for example, like your washroom, for example, or whatever. Like don't use AI in your washroom unless you're looking at for a specific bottle of a bottle in your medicine cabinet or something. But
Hmm.
Right. Yeah. Did you have
And that
something there?
is,
Go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry.
I was,
Sorry,
no,
McCary.
it's
Sorry.
fine.
Sorry. No,
No, it's
sorry.
totally fine. No, no need.
Okay.
That is one thing I was going to ask was if there were specific situations that you would sort of think that AI shouldn't be leaned on as much. And it's interesting, I think, that you made the parallel or comparison not directly to drugs and alcohol, but as something that we are sort of starting to lean on in a really big way, and kind of balancing that between how do we lean on that and how do we rely on other skills that we do still need, because as you just said, it's not 100% reliable and shouldn't be seen as such.
I like how you put that when you made the like sort of when you sort of brought it as an example of like alcohol and drug education, etc.
Yeah, I think yeah, and really like the technical equipment would be sort of responsible social media use, like knowing that like what you but like you wouldn't like if you're teaching young, especially young people about AI, kind of making sure that they when you're doing that sort of thing about not uploading um, not uploading anything that's could be used against you to social media. The same thing with AI, not asking it sort of really personal questions that could come back that people could find out about. Because like the one thing I hate to refer to Tumblr Ridge, but it's a good example. I didn't realize, for example, ChatGPT had the ability to sort of see what was in people's accounts, and they were monitoring those accounts. So if you're asking AI a lot of questions, say about a topic like pornography, that could then that could trigger some sort of alert and warning from the actual provider of the AI, provider of the AI, whether it's OpenAI or Google or whoever.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like there's a difference though between the like between what we talked about here and things like Zoom summaries and Zoom and transcripts that are generated from say Zoom meetings and things like that. I feel like there's a difference there, and that's where is often the confusion, because when they think of that like automatic AI generated like how it will just generate the transcripts and things like that for in meeting summaries and things like that, people often freak because they think of it as what we just talked about. When in this case, where in that particular case, what I just referenced here, it's not quite the same thing.
Yeah, and I see Zoom summaries and say summaries from Teams or any of these meeting platforms as something similar to someone that's like a third party that you could have hired someone to take notes for this meeting. So like if I know that going in, I kind of view the Zoom summaries as similar to that. So like I kind of would say to people, okay, well, if you're that concerned about the Zoom summary, then you should be concerned if someone is actually taking minutes of the meeting, because if you don't want it to be heard, then don't say it, because
Yeah,
that's really the case. Because if anyone that's recording a meeting or taking minutes can note that thing. So if you make a controversial statement, whether it's captured by the Zoom summary or an actual note taker, then and you didn't want that to be heard, then you shouldn't have said it. Like, but I guess what the Zoom summary doesn't do versus the actual note takers is if I said, strictly off the record, and then proceed to say it, the note taker could say, okay, I'm not going to record that. But they've heard it, and they may divulge it to someone after as well too. So it's whereas the Zoom summary is going to reference that and put it out there in the Zoom summary.
yep, yeah, exactly right. But see, but like for what we're doing here as a podcast, it's a good thing. We want that summary, so then we can
want that summary, yeah,
right. So then we can put it. So then we can add it in a show notes.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and so in the case of podcasting and like in public meetings, like the Zoom summaries, I'll see Zoom summaries from meeting. They're getting way more accurate than they were when they first came out.
Absolutely.
And it's very usable. And if there's not too much crosstalk, the actual meeting transcript is pretty accurate.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And also too, um, um, see, we're also here in the recording this. This is also in to the Zoom cloud. So what the Zoom cloud does as well is because I have it enabled to do so. it actually it'll generate automatic chapters with like timestamps.
Oh, okay.
So and by the way, Makara, where is that? When you open the summary, the email summary, there's a link to that first link before the share before the option that says share.
Right.
There's a link to that recording there. It's got that funny name.
Oh, yes.
So if you hit that, you'll see the chapters you'll see with the timestamps.
Oh, okay.
So then when you include that in the show notes, it actually, what it will do is it will actually and podcast players that support that, they can click, like, let's say they want to jump to a specific section, like let's say they want to jump to, say, the section, say, about braille displays. They'd be able to just click that, and then it would automatically move the player
to that section.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've seen chapter podcasts with chapters, and I just assume the podcaster manually marked those chapters for the podcast play, like for their for when they publish their podcast feed as well. So, and I guess in the past they did, but I wonder how much of it's automated now, like what you're saying.
Yeah, I think a lot of it now, and also some platforms as well, like Apple Podcasts and Spotify, will actually do that automatically. Like they'll take
Well, yeah, I've seen Apple, like I've seen on Apple both Apple and Spotify where the podcasts are marked as chapters, and so the whereas, but I just assumed it was the podcast feed itself, because like do you remember he doesn't do it anymore, but the old Jonathan Mosen podcast, Living Blindfully, was didn't really have chapters in, but he would have it in notes in his show notes saying, okay, if you want to listen to this section, fast forward to this timestamp and things like that. So like it's
Yeah. Now, what he used to do back in the day is he used to actually mark the chat. He used to actually mark them.
Yeah, maybe I might think yeah, maybe I'm thinking of something else.
And you can do that.
He did, yeah, you can't, because he did, yeah, he marked them. That's what but that was because he was doing well, Jonathan Mosen had been podcasting forever. Like I think he was one of the first people. He did some of the first blindness podcasts, but like back in the 90s, because he was the first host of a radio program on ACB, what used to be called ACB Radio.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And see, like, I mean, and that's sort of it. Like now, now there was something I was actually playing around at one point, and I used to use sometimes, like, but this was way before I even got into doing these things. I used to use, and I still have it on the Mac, an application called Podcast Chapters. And what that did, or does, I don't know if it's what that did at the time. I haven't used it in a while, but what it did at the time was you would go through the file, and then you'd mark the file. You'd mark all the spots that you felt that you wanted to be as chapters. And then it would mark them up, and then it would put the chapter markups in, and then you just sort of save the file, and you would do it, and you would just. But honestly, that's very time consuming though, to go through the whole thing, and start putting markers in and doing that. So I personally wouldn't do that anymore.
Yes, anymore. No, because now you can use Zoom to do it. But that's how they used to do, and they like that. That's how, when libraries are making Daisy books out of old analog recordings, that's exactly what they were doing. They would,
Yeah.
So they would feed like an 8-hour book into a computer, and then spend the time marking the actual chapters of the book based on where it was in the audio recording. Like they would have to kind of go through. Now the old Daisy book creation software would take a crack at it based on its own, based on what like the gaps in the audio, because you could set the audio recording to if it looked for gap, if there was a gap was bigger than this point, to split the files up into separate files, and then sometimes it was good because if it was a well recorded book, like if the narrator was on task, there was enough of a gap between chapters and parts of the book to actually that the Daisy software would actually separate the files at the appropriate place. There wasn't AI, but it was doing it was actually scanning the audio for the actual breaks in the audio and then creating separate files. But in the event that it couldn't do that, someone would actually have to sit there and maybe listen to the audio at high speed and look for chapter one, chapter two, chapter three, cover, prologue, epilogue, like all those things in a book as well too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Heck of a job.
Yeah, it would have been, and now thankfully audiobooks are all digitally recorded. So now and a lot of Daisy books are created straight out of EPUB as well to EPUB. So it's a lot different now than it would have that was when the format first came out.
Yeah.
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 On that subject, just really quickly before we end off here,
Yeah.
what sorts of things do you enjoy reading, Richard?
When I do read, I don't read as much as I should, but when I do read, I read a lot of sort of thrillers or mysteries, like some more sort of general interest, interest books, like things like I read I read the last sort of nonfiction book I read was this book that was written. I can't remember the name of the author. It was because I was reading it more because I due to my sort of studies of my own Indigenous heritage. But it was this book called 21 Things You Didn't Know About the Indian Act in Canada, and it's quite a good read if for anyone that's interested sort of in that subject area. The and then yeah, so the and then the so that's I can't think of a book off the top. I should have thought of a book off the top of my head to recommend for reading. But yeah, I can't think of one right off the top of my head. The only thing that's coming to my head, and I can't remember the author, was this sort of political thriller I read, sort of a comedy political thriller. It sort of crosses into the 2S LGBTQIA genre, called Red, White, and Royal Blue, and it's about how the son of the president and and a prince in England fall in love. So
Oh, yeah. I want
yeah,
to say Casey McQuiston.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It
Awesome.
was also turned into an Amazon Prime movie as well too. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Well, Makara,
It's about that time.
it is that time. But first, thank you for being here with us as well today.
Well, you're welcome.
Yes, thank you so much. We appreciate you
And
taking the
thank you
time.
as well. So it's that time again.
What is coming up on the Ali Musa show?
So on Friday, April 17th, 2026, that is just 24 hours before the start of the NHL playoffs. So who better to talk about that with is friend of the show, Ryan Payton. So we're going to discuss all of that. We're going to discuss some Leafs stuff as well, probably, most likely, and see kind of where the conversation goes. So that will be on Friday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. If you want to check us out live, and that would be a good way to do it. And then, of course, a week from today, Monday, and for those that are subscribed to the newsletter, and Makara, I know you are. I know you will have seen that newsletter that reminder go out for next week, April the 20th, 2026, when we'll have some more Leafs and Blue Jays chat with Sportsnet's Daniele Franceschi. So he'll be coming on, and then we move to, I think, May the 4th, where we have Becky Coles to talk all about Around the News. And then we will be looking forward to bringing you more content after that point.
Yeah, you never know what else is going to be coming up.
Yes. And what's coming up on the Ali and McCara show coming up?
We've got our regular Sunday show on April 19th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, where we will discuss A History of India, another one of the Audible Great courses. So definitely be sure to tune in live for that. The stream is there if you want to set your notifications, if you are subscribed to the channel for that. And that's what we've got coming up there. And of course, we've got another books panel coming up toward the end of the month on Friday, April 24th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern.
That's a
We will
week this
discuss-
Friday, actually.
It is. Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, sorry, where we will
discuss Behind the Bench, Inside the Minds of Hockey's Greatest Coaches by Craig Custance.
And let me tell you, that's a good book, by the way.
Yeah, you're almost halfway done that one, if not more now.
Yep.
Looking forward to
And,
having that discussion. It'll be great.
Yep. Absolutely. And we'll be here as well. We're going to be back. And it's exciting. It'll be exciting to be back on the air with you next week. And I cannot wait for our next show.
Likewise, stay tuned, everyone.
And Richard, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Good thing I was expressed interest in one of your guests, and I hope I'm muted, but I was muted. So
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You were.
No, I was when you were talking about your guest from Sportsnet that's going to be on with the Leafs and Blue Jays next week. But
Daniele Franceschi, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I went, oh, that's interesting, and then I thought, oh yeah, but good, and then I thought, oh, good thing and then I realized, oh yeah, good thing I'm muted because that you probably didn't want that on your outro.
No, it's more than welcome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so funny. I was gonna and of course when you're talking about the playoffs, I was gonna say, because I'm in Vancouver, I was gonna say we're number one, hopefully in the draft.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Vancouver will be 32nd in the league, but that doesn't mean that we're gonna get number one in the draft because we never seem to have luck with the draft lottery. So
No, exactly.
yeah, it was great chatting with you again, and
Yeah, I look forward to doing it again in the future.
I'll have to. Yeah, I'll have to brush up on my new technology stuff to do another texting.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe next time we can
Okay.
talk about Applevis's report card on the state of voiceover, braille, etc.
Yeah, something like that. Or
Yeah, why don't we do that? That'd be an why don't we look at doing that? That'd be an interesting discussion. If you still have the original booking link, feel free to put something in for that.
yeah, I'll see. Yeah, it's not braille displays is not really my strong point.
No, I mean in
So,
terms of the more in depth on the screen reader side, on the voiceover side.
Yeah. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I'll have to see what Applevis has to say about it again because it's been
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
great
so-
chatting with you both, and
Sounds good. So now we'll just
Yeah,
play the
likewise.
outro. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for listening to and or watching the Ali and McCara Show. To learn more about the show, please visit the aliandmccarashow.ca. While you're over there, subscribe to the newsletter so you never miss an update. Besides, it's free. Enter your email address and hit subscribe right on the homepage. The Ali and McCara Show is part of the Musa Slobodian Network, where good conversations happen. To learn more about the other excellent programming offered by the network, please visit the musaslobodiannetwork.ca.
Recording stopped.
Okay, now I'm going to just stop the audio hijack session here in